ask your questions. I can hear you. I can hear you.
First off, Mr. Harmon, I want to thank you for supporting a film last year called Zero Charisma. I really appreciate that. It was made from some friends of ours, and I'm really...
Great film. It's a great film!
Second, my question is for Spencer. Do you have a lot of offers from, like, to go to different conventions and DM games for them?
No. That's all. I mean, you'd think there'd be some of that.
Take note.
That I'm complaining.
Thank you.
Sorry.
How about voiceover work? Any
Over here, please.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2. Dan, you want to rap for a while?
Yo, this guy's gonna ask a question.
You still got it, man.
Did you quit drinking?
Ever? Me? No.
No, I'm just saying, it scared the shit out of me because I kept seeing the bottom, like, oh shit, I see where this is going. You know, like, this is like an anti-alcohol thing, but then I realized, oh god, it's Kettle Wine, they're paying for this, so cool, thanks. That's all I know.
This guy loves alcoholism.
Or does he? Was that an ironic?
No, I think he's happy you still drink.
I don't think Kettle One paid for it. They certainly paid for all of my self-abuse over the years.
Or was that guy just asking for a free drink?
I don't know, we'll never know. I think the audience is enthusiastic.
Also, he just disappeared.
Yeah, I've paid for it.
That was the world's worst mic drop. You can't do it.
Well, she doesn't want to pay for that.
Once I dropped a mic, and then I had to pay for the mic afterwards. Because it wasn't that kind of thing.
We might have to pay for it, but you...
I'm very sorry. Spencer!
We love me.
Question over here.
Dan, thank you for everything with the show, helping me win $65, all that.
Okay, explain yourself.
They did that pub quiz a couple weeks ago, and our team won $300 that we split 6 ways, so I got $62 out of that.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Where is it? I've already blown it on Uppers as well.
Oh, wow. And the rest you just wasted.
So, during the filmmaking process, did you realize that Spencer was the hero, or was it after Dan's revelation? At what point do you realize, you know?
You can see me in the movie the exact point where Neil puts it in. That's the point where I kind of realized it. I mean, it's both tongue-in-cheek and tongue-out-of-cheek, whatever those expressions mean. I was there's 650 hours of footage. Neil had to deal with the fact that his documentary subject was a guy who thinks he knows at any given time what point in the story they're at. So there's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor of me explaining that we're crossing a threshold when we're not at all. It was up to Neil in the end. It was his movie, but it was important for me to realize at a certain point that okay, nothing's really happening to me transformatively. I'm going to be an asshole by the end of this tour, and I did realize at that exact point in the tour where it comes in the movie. Like, I made that vlog entry. I wanted to help the documentary, but it was true. I just said, I think Spencer's the hero. We should focus on him. But also, Aaron told me at one point, I remember watching early cuts and having nausea about what a dick I looked like. I don't know, like, Neil was having trouble finding the story. He knew he needed to have one, but if you try to tell a story about me, from footage about me, it's just, the darkness is going to be too dark, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember Aaron telling me, like, just tell him to make it about Spencer. Like, it's obviously the thing. And I did tell Neil that. And I didn't tell Neil that the idea was Aaron's, because Neil was going through a divorce while shooting us. And so, as you can see from the movie, he's not a huge fan of relationships while he's shooting it. But it was her idea, and I think it was that was the thing. Like, the journey with Spencer, and that was the big saving grace. Neil has said in interviews like the things like that footage of me in the bathroom, like drunk and babbling. But I think realizing that Spencer's journey was the backbone, while I was going to be I'm just an asshole. I'm an asshole at the beginning, I'm an asshole at the end. Spencer, in the meantime, goes across the threshold, he meets with the guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh,
yeah. I'm shaking so much, I don't know why. I'm just like everyone in that movie. First off, fantastic movie. The podcast, my life has been pretty crazy the last few years. And podcast is one of my favorite discoveries. Every Monday, I get up at like 5 a.m. to go to work, and it's there, and I can listen to it. And what I appreciate, it's not funny, but there's a lot of times it talks about really serious things, and extensively. It takes all its time. Like one time he talked about religious cults. Like he watched a documentary about that. And like I grew up in a religious cult, and so like they hit really close to home. And a lot of things that are being said was like, wow, it's like someone that's like, who isn't even there kind of understands this, or at least has the ability to talk about it. At what point did the show? What point did you feel like comfortable to be like, okay, this show has a comedy element to it, but we want to talk about serious topics, and we feel free to go back and forth between comedy and serious, whatever that it really means.
The first time I failed to get a laugh, just get over that, and I'm dishonest enough to cope with that by going, maybe it's not comedy that we're doing here.
A comedy show implies that you have an act and that you have material that you are prepared for a paying audience. We don't have one. We found that, I think pretty quickly, Dan said, let's do a show at Meltdown because they offered me a slot, let's go do a thing where we colonize the moon. Ours isn't really a comedy show. It's funny, but I think that when we're being our funniest is when there are moments where we're connecting with strangers. And there's always going to be comedy out of that when it's sincere. So our best moments are human moments with strangers when our shows become this beautiful Muppet show full of weirdos that are all, could all have their own show. Laughs are really the most important thing for the show.
Thank God.
Yeah.
They are too.
Mostly it's about Dan's beautiful ability to freestyle rap. I don't know if you've heard some of his raps.
Amen.
I kind of want to know what you were going through. You can't bury that late. That's weird. You said I'm going through some shit. So.
Dan, this isn't Harmontown. It's about us right now.
I want to know what happened.
Fuck him. This is about me.
So my parents. Can I just really quickly?
No, of course.
My parents went through a drug rehabilitation program that became a religious cult, and my dad was like second in command. And then he started drinking, and then he got in an accident and killed 2 people, and then he went to prison, and then the religious cult turned on my entire family.
You need to talk to Neil Berkeley after this. It's a great documentary.
Yes.
Get some questions and maybe a movie you can make.
Are you comfortable from the camera?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a filmmaker, and I also want to tell the story.
Are your parents both okay?
My dad just got out of prison 2 days ago. That night, it's like that day, I got my dad out of
He's standing right behind you.
That is Lamar.
His name is Lamar.
No.
He misses you.
No.
Oh, sorry, no, we didn't even drag that
I feel
out.
like I'm on I mean, it's not egotistical. I feel like I'm on a hero's journey because I went through like this 7 years, and that morning I worked at the Austin Film Society. They had the big film awards, and I was 2 feet away from Johnny Depp at one point. So in the morning, I get my dad out of prison. He'd been there for 6.5 years. That night, I'm 2 feet away from Johnny Depp. 2 days later, I'm right next to everyone who's part of my favorite podcast, and it's nuts,
All right. I have no idea what to say to that. I'm so glad your parents are okay.
Glad you're here.
Yes, I am too.
I wish you had the show over here.
I worked there at that building, and I was out of town, and it broke my heart. And I rushed all the way back to town just so I could see the screen. I would have given anything to have been there. In fact, But my friends with Andy over there, he was on the show, I heard. So that more than makes up for me.
Andy.
Andy, yes!
Thank you so much. Oh, geez, there's a lot of people here. Hi, everybody. I didn't think it would be this way. This is weird.
What was your name again?
My name's Stefan.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you so much for sharing all your struggles. Glad Harmontown somehow helped you get through them.
Let's go. Stefan, smell them. Did you get a smell? This guy smells good.
Lamar, he came up to the live podcast that we did.
Lamar, sorry,
He was here before me. Please, hey, Lamar, it's cool.
Hey, I get the call. yeah. You're after her.
Lamar, you asked me how awesome Bitcoin is. First of all, I just wanted to thank Dan Harmon for putting your story circle stuff up on Channel 101. WordPress, it's really helpful.
I'm glad people find use from that. What, the grammar drunk?
No, it's great. I mean, I'm looking for anything I can, any help I can. So I had a question for Neil. I thought it was a really interesting choice, the way that you tease these, what sounds like sort of uncontrollable anger issues that Dan has, but to never actually show any of it. And with 650 hours of footage, I'm sure that you had some, so could you just talk a little bit about that?
Not really, no.
Thank you.
Dan, a lot of people saying it happens, and Dan said, I wish, you always said, I wish I had worn my camera while I was doing that, or behaving that way. You said that occasionally.
The worst I get is with the person that's most important to me, with Aaron, and I think that's it feels good that comes across in the film, because that's a crime I do commit. But I don't throw things. I don't hurt people or anything. It's like I go from being a big glib thumb-sucking asshole to being, Kevin Spacey in Seven. I just get mean. Because people aren't giving me what I want, and Aaron bears the brunt of it, and the film touches on that. I don't know.
Harmontown's a conversation. It's a conversation, and there was a moment where I said, Dan, what is the worst part of you to your fans? What can make them not line up to do your autograph? What can make them say, maybe this is a bad guy? And he said, okay, this is how I behave in a relationship. And Jeff says, you brought up delicious tears, and you brought these things up. So it was never captured on camera, but it was a discussion we had. So to me, that was like, okay, if there's a low point, if there's a scary moment, like what is it about Dan that his fans might not know about, or might need to know about? And it's his behavior.
Yeah, so. I mean, that stuff's all real, and there's a real petty competitive part of me that wants to really hammer that home. But that said, I am in a relationship with my hero. I mean, this person that you guys all look up to, I look up to him just as much. Like I published a book with all of his writing, and I did all the merch. I really admire this person, more so than just a boyfriend. Like, I really look up to him, and I ask him for advice, and I ask him for life advice. And when I'm upset in our relationship, I'll say to him, I'm sad because I feel like you were shitty earlier, like how do I deal with that? And he gives me advice in that way. Most of the time that works out. That the tour, like it's all accurate, but it was a weird time for us, because I think Dan felt like, not to put this on you, but it seems like over that month it felt like you were maybe assuming that I was feeling a certain way. But I'm the luckiest person in the entire world. Like I was watching the movie and I've seen it before, crying, thinking about how lucky I am. How many of us are able to say, I really look up to the person that I'm with? Like, I look up to him like he's a professor or a father. He's my father.
Totally gross.
No, he's not my father, but I really look up to him. He's not literally my father.
People just walked out of the room.
No, I mean, I admire him, and I also admire him because he supports me more than anyone else in the world. Like, I really love him so much. Don't be mistaken, but he's not doing me any favors by being with me. And incredibly shitty, and I wake up in the morning with nacho cheese all over my face and my body. Like, I'm disgusting. I am equally disgusting. I have told Dan some secrets about my body this last weekend that have really shocked him. We're perfect. Yeah.
It's like dating Cthulhu.
Where was this during our show?
Great.
I don't know, but somebody made a documentary about her, so I could be out of focus in the background, pushing a shopping cart, and so
It's called,
all of her
my
behavior
documentary is called McGaffey Cave. It's short.
Lamar, everybody. Lamar, you have a question?
Okay, so first of all, I want to know who's the best smelling man in Austin.
That's you, sir.
You fished for that a little bit.
Oh, he didn't fish. He just threw a baseball right over.
No, but seriously,
But that was hours ago. You might not smell that good anymore, Lamar.
Maybe now you got that.
Look at the one in the show earlier. He walked up next to me and he smelled like,
The most delicious forest.
yeah, like a delicious pine tree.
no, but seriously, I was back there watching the movie. I came in late, and I started realizing
You didn't see
the worst man ever.
No, listen.
And I'm not really leaving here.
Lamar, we don't believe anything about
No, seriously, no, I'm dead serious. Listen, I'm dead serious.
This is all about Bitcoin. We're not
No. I started tearing up, man, because let me tell you why. Because I realized how amazing my freaking life is, right? No, because I did not realize you was the dude that created Community, right? So,
Thank you.
no, seriously, I didn't. Because I don't read the names, right? Like, I just like the creativity. I like creation. Like, I don't try to remember, like, history names and all that.
He's going to say Bitcoin. He's going to say Bitcoin.
No, I'm not. I promise I'm not. But seriously, so I started tearing up because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I got called up on stage by the dude who created the show that I love the most. You know what I'm saying?
Which season?
So, every season. No, listen.
Don't say any season. Don't say any season.
Season 4 or 3?
Who did this, though? Who did the Muppet season?
You could have said any other season.
So here's the question.
How do you smell that?
I don't know, man. So here's my question, man. So you didn't do the Muppet season?
I did not. I did not have that honor, sir.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's all right. I am a true fan, period. I like the Muppet season.
This is a better documentary right now.
I liked it out here.
You made a bad movie. You made a bad movie.
Look, I liked it because of the last song of the show.
You like
I got it as my ringtone.
Yeah.
So it's like boom, 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 right? So I got that as my ringtone. So it wasn't you, but I still love everything about that show, okay?
Lamar Austin Wilson, everybody.
I got a question for my man. That's
You have a question too?
Yeah. No, I really do.
Professor.
Yes.
All right.
Because I love my life so much. So how did it feel when I was watching this show? Like, how did it feel to get on the show with Harmontown and just be plucked out of, like, I watched that part, you said that, but I mean, that, you probably won't ever get a word in right now. So I'm going to ask you a question. How did it feel to just be, like, plucked out of, like, nowhere and to become like a really loved individual? You know what I'm
Like
saying?
you're in a hot air balloon.
You tell him, Lamar.
Yeah. I mean, it felt a lot like not that happening. It felt like it didn't, like nothing happened. For a long time, I was just kind of going with the flow, and I wasn't really understanding it. I didn't even think of myself as a part of Harmontown, because, you know, on Harmontown, people come up on stage. It's a thing that audience members do. I was an audience member that came up on stage, right? I didn't think about it as being on Harmontown really until, like, the tour was, like, a third of the way through, and I was like, oh, I'm in this. This is something I do. And it never really hit me until that part. So I was like, geez, this is pretty freaking cool, right? And then I just kept rolling with it. And then afterwards, it was just regular to me at that point. I don't know, man. I don't feel like it affected me as much as it should. And for that, I'm ashamed.
No, you are good.
Thank you, Lamar. Lamar, please come to Hollywood to get your
Lamar is working on a cooperative Bitcoin wallet.
feel about it?
I'm sorry.
What happened? What happened? Right now, he just sold Bitcoin. He just sold Bitcoin right now.
I want to thank everybody very much. I want to thank this amazing group up here, and I want to thank all of you. And good evening. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.